What's up, everyone? I am Ernest Dove. This is the New York Mets Dove Report. Let's talk more off-season. But first things first, why not give a quick shout out to all active and retired NYPD officers, including the one and only Ernie Dove Sr., the now 80-year-old man who still talks about NYPD to this day, and the love and appreciation for all fellow officers, and for me, any officers, any and all officers who've served in New York. Thank you for your ongoing service. Now, let's talk Mets and the offseason. Here's my question I want to bring up for this segment. Will the Mets farm system be the new core? Is this where it's going to come from? Now, obviously, I already know Lindor and Soto, they're on their lifetime contracts. But with so many guys gone, we all want to know, who's next, who's taking their places. I know all offseason or all early offseason, all anyone wants, like every offseason since Cohen took over, is to sign the top player available or acquire the best player available and give up the whole farm. But what are the other options here? Here's what seems to be happening beyond the conversations, the debates of why Stearns is doing certain things, why everybody seems to be on short-term contracts. Maybe it's because of the now top farm system in Major League Baseball. Or again, consensus top 3, top 5, depending on the publications and everything that you guys respect from certain websites who have them ranked at least in the top 5. What are the options? I'm the prospect guy, so let's talk about it once again and get more real with things, with some of the bats, some of the arms. Can they be core players? I want to talk about it in this segment. Let's start with the obvious, because he's being brought up the most, Carson Bench. So from the hitter perspective, from the bat perspective, all anyone wants to know is, can he break camp? I've said it before. Can he be 2019 Pete Alonso, go to camp, and actually stick and stay with the team? I still honestly, truly, in my heart, believe he may not break or will not break camp in Queens, but the off-season's heading into January, still plenty of time, but who are they doing? We're talking about Bellinger. Maybe yes, maybe no on Bellinger. Then it becomes now the years. They don't even maybe reportedly want to go beyond too many years for Bellinger, or I guess for anyone. So if you're not going to give a Bellinger a long-term deal, it sounds like Kyle Tucker, at least reportedly, may even want a longer deal than Bellinger, so that might put him out in the Mets' perspective. So some of the guys being brought up, I guess an Austin Hayes, other kind of short-term, maybe more glove-first guys have been thrown around as names. I know the Harrison Bader fans, of which I am one of them, but again, how much is he going to contribute? Maybe on a one-year deal while waiting on guys like Benj to show up anyway. As things are, maybe the new core could be mostly farm system guys. We're going to have a new version of Nimmo and Alonso and McNeil. That could be the new core to be on the team through their ARB years, and with the ownership funding, they can keep whoever they want at, I guess, realistic prices. So I guess I'll have to stress over it in the future if some of these guys do pan out. For guys like Carson Bench, I've said it for a while now. I've been pretty upfront and honest as the guru guy of trying to be a prospect hugger and guru. I have stated, even towards the end of the year, even by summer, I was declaring Carson Bench the top hitting prospect in the organization, a step above Jett Williams. I felt Carson Bench at the time was the more or most well-rounded bat position player in the Mets farm system. So I'm going to have to stick to that. I know I've been hearing good things now towards the end of the year and offseason about how other publications felt they saw progress in Jett Williams' defense, which is huge. But for Carson Bench, I do see him as a core player in the Mets organization for the Mets team going forward as soon as 2026 at some point. The debate rages on. Can he play center field? The whole run prevention thing from David Stearns. My understanding, talking to people in the Mets organization, is that Carson Bench can definitely play, handle adequately center field. He has a really strong arm, which I know, of course, makes sense in left or right. But I do believe he can be a center fielder long term. We have other options down the road with a guy like A.J. Ewing, who may be about 2 years away. That's another guy for another story for the future. Again, move him over. You move Nimmo over, you could always move Carson Bench over. Bottom line, Carson Bench is a core player for the New York Mets. The guy you want to see succeed from rookie year on, all through the ARB years. Pencil him in at the smaller salaries to pay for other needs going forward. Now, who are some of the other guys? It's kind of hard to tell, to be honest, even projection-wise. Jett Williams, he seems to be a really mystery man of sorts. Gets into a lot of harsh debates online about Jett Williams. Is he a core player? The bottom line, he has speed. He will get on base. He's a bat-to-ball guy. He has pop. Like, he has more pop than a Luisangel Acuna. I believe he has more pop than a Nick Morabito. Defensively, again, people were seeing good signs from Jett Williams defensively at short and second base. If it was up to me, if Jett Williams had any chance of being a core player with the Mets, I see him best suited at second base, which, of course, may or may not now be filled for a year to 2 years at this point with the new signings. But again, here's my version of a hot take. To be honest with you, here it is. By the end of this winter, or at least by the trade deadline, if there's a top prospect in the Mets organization that gets traded, I'm going to go ahead and predict that it is Jett Williams. I don't want to say it simply because of a Marcus Semien signing, but something seems off just to me. As the hugger, as the guy who tries to scour the internet, scour sources, I'm just trying to figure out where Jett Williams continues to fit or not fit in the Mets organization. We've already seen how quickly Acuna might have turned into a bench player and role player now very quickly. As fast as he showed up, as fast as he seems to be more of a role player and utility player than a core player. Now, a guy like Jett Williams, again, I see the hit tool. I see the bat and power being a little bit more than Acuna. But where is he playing defensively? Again, we already know Lindor. Everyone stop the comments online. Lindor's with the Mets. He's on a lifetime deal. Let's just get that out of the way. Second base is taken for a couple of years. You can move guys around, DH, third base, which, by the way, you have a young core player to be, hopefully, in Brett Baty if he's finally putting it all together. I think Jett Williams is going to get traded. That's going to be my guess, my hot take for the segment. I'm going to move on. What other guys? I want to get into the pitching because, again, now, when you talk about a new core, look at what's developing. We've talked about it a lot in the last year or so at this point. You have the Generation K. You have the group led by DeGrom in the more recent one in the last 10 years. Can the Mets farm system create another 2015-2016? In my opinion, to be honest, with my bias, I believe yes. The New York Mets' current farm system can develop a new core of pitching that can lead this team to the promised land. Could they obviously use another frontline starter? Yes. In all the stuff I've been telling you about for about over 2 years now, hopefully if you guys heard it, saw it first from me on shows and online, I was talking about Nolan McLean spring of 2024. So I was with you guys. I was already calling it before it happened, which mostly to a shout out to one of the Mets staff in the minor league organization who told me to buy stock in Nolan McLean. I believe in Nolan McLean. I believe he can be a version of a frontline starter. But again, the Mets could definitely in the next 2-3 years could still, in my opinion, even if it was definitely 2026, possibly another year, they could use a frontline starter at the top to pair with and go with a McLean. And again, then you have guys like Manaea, Peterson, Senga, who again, like them or not, they're only under contract for about 1 or 2 more years, depending on the player. Montas obviously is going to finish out his contract, and then he'll be gone. Now it's up to the young players. You have Nolan McLean. I think Jonah Tong, who everybody seems to want to trade all of a sudden, which I still refuse to this day, I believe Jonah Tong still has what it takes to be a core pitcher for the Mets in their rotation. Now, again, I made my comments now about Jett Williams. If there was a guy, even this winter or into the next deadline, who are they going to trade maybe as a pitcher? My guess, hot take opinion, has been, so I'm going to stick to it, Brandon Sproat. I believe Brandon Sproat is the type of guy they may move on for a package for an all-star, along with a Jet. Those are my pitchers and bats I think may get traded. If they get traded, those are the two amongst the top 10-ish prospects on the team that I think would be moved before others. Now, some other core players, hard to determine or label them if you want to call them the core, but I see other very good pitchers right behind them. I've been talking about Jett Williams. I think Jett Williams can be an innings-eating guy at the back of the rotation for years to come. I think he'll have enough pitch command of multiple pitches. I think he's a horse that can go 95, 96 at his best. With his pitches, I believe he can get it done on a 5 to 6-ish inning basis in today's baseball. I think he has what it takes. Some of my wild card arms have to continue to be the same ones. I have a wild card thought and theory on Will Watson and Jonathan Santucci, the righty and the lefty. Could they be core pitchers in the Mets rotation for years to come? Yes. Are there things that need to happen for those two to be core pitchers in the Mets organization in the rotation? Yes. A lot of it centered around pitch command. Now, my understanding, Will Watson has increased now. He now has multiple pitches that he's confident and comfortable throwing. So I don't want to just throw the future reliever label on him, which I've done in the last few months. But some of the other people in the Mets organization disagree with me. How dare they? So there are some people who believe he's a legit pitching guy. He deserves the status of the top pitching prospect in the Mets organization beyond the top three based on eligibility when they lose their rookie statuses to come. There's people who believe Will Watson is the next top guy. I'm just worried about, will he end up being more of a long man, or will he end up transferring to like a high leverage reliever, one of those bulk 1.5, 2-ish inning guys? Maybe. Or he continues to progress and show progress, and he's going to be a legit starting pitcher. Same with Jonathan Santucci. I've been saying it. Fastball, staff believes fastball is elite. He can go 95 to 97 with a great slider. Question mark. What about the, I believe, changeup? The third pitch. Can he best develop the third pitch? We see everybody arguing about Jonah Tong throwing a third pitch at the major league level. That's going to be my thing now, honestly, for Jonathan Santucci. Even in the minor leagues, AA, AAA, when he gets to the major leagues, with his great stuff, elite stuff, can he add a third pitch consistently to get batters out for the 5-6 innings? That could still be a wait and see thing. Now, for some of the relievers, again, I don't know about calling them core or not, but you have a guy like Diaz. Now, again, I can't compare any of these guys to Diaz, but the Mets are going to need multiple year, solid, cheap, successful relievers that you're going to need in every organization. Even the Dodgers, even the top organizations in baseball, they also need a really good pen with successful young arms so that you're not always calling up waiver wire guys from indie ball and minor leagues to fill out your pen. Some of these guys I've talked about before. You have Dylan Ross, the guy who has hit up to, I believe, 102 miles an hour, but it's more about the splitter itself. And I honestly, truly believe by the end of last year, it looked like they may have been dropping the velo a little bit, maybe to get more pitch command, because that's going to be his thing for Dylan Ross, pitch command, location. We've talked about Ryan Lambert. I believe Ryan Lambert may or may not even break camp back in AA because of how much minor league pitching the Mets have. This is why I'm saying they have too many. But I would like to think Ryan Lambert stays in the organization, will be a fixture in the pen for years to come. Now, some of the other wild card guys. Again, do you want to transfer guys from starter to reliever? What if, a good problem to have, Dub, what if too many guys pan out? What happens? Do like other organizations like the Dodgers, the Cardinals, other teams. You put certain top starting pitcher prospects and at least have them break into Major League Baseball in the pen. Who would some of those guys be? Me, I would recommend a Brandon Sproat if he's still with the organization and not traded like I just said. He's a guy that could be a pretty dominant possible reliever. Some of the other guys that I want to stay in the Mets organization, what about a lefty, Zach Thornton, who again, he throws up to 5 pitches with some of the best pitch command in the Mets' entire farm system. However, if there's not enough room, what do you do with a guy like Zach Thornton? It's my opinion, based on him losing some time last year at the end of last summer, that could possibly somewhat force, quote unquote, him to repeat AA, but he can quickly get to AAA in 2026. Nowhere else to go but majors from there. Maybe he would be an option that you want to kind of quickly call him up to help the pen. Now, some of the other sleeper guys now I'm talking about online, for some of you that may be newer, thank you for following if you are newer. Some of the extra behind-the-scenes arms, not necessarily top 10, top 20 ranked guys, you have a guy like Brett Banks, who I've interviewed Brett Banks. Again, he's a guy that just participated in the Arizona Fall League. Those are some of the things you do specifically for certain players that you want to get a longer look at. You have Brett Banks, who's been developing or creating a newer slider helped by the coaching staff, including Dan McKinney, who, by the way, is now a major league pitching staff, not just minor leagues. Shout out forever to Dan McKinney for helping Brett Banks, even through the winter, through AFL, even working on things like his new and improved slider for Brett Banks. He's a guy to look out for as early as 2026. But again, Brett Banks had a little bit of time missed here and there. He went up a bunch of levels. It's not going to be too easy for a guy like that to jump to major leagues in 2026 based off starting as low as he did last season and working his way up fast. So he could be another 2027 guy. But again, the needs are the needs. The other guy to talk about is Ben Simon, a guy whose name quietly keeps coming up. I know a lot of fellow fans and prospect huggers and minor league junkies have mentioned Ben Simon for a while now through the end of last season. Talking with some of the peoples and staff, he's a guy that can throw up to 99, I believe. So that's how hard he's been throwing from the end of last season. That's another arm you need to keep an eye on and look for in the 2026 season. But is that going to be the case now going forward? Are these going to be the names you start hearing about for years to come? With Carson Bench, a little bit behind him, A.J. Ewing. Been hyping him for a while now. And again, when a guy like Benj graduates, when a guy like Jett Williams, one way or another, graduates from like a rookie status, you could argue having possibly A.J. Ewing being the number one position player prospect in the organization as soon as next season. Putting aside my favorite guys like the much younger players like Giovanni Rodriguez, Elian Pena, our new kid who's about to be hopefully signed in the IFA class for January in 2026. You could probably almost pencil him in for at least 10th ranked or at least top 15 just based on hype alone. But again, A.J. Ewing might be up there. Those are some of the guys. But again, is this going to be a new core? Do you even consider Brett Banks a core? These are a lot of questions to be asked, but hopefully I'm starting to answer a few of them. Hey, Doug, if they're going to really use the farm system, who are the real guys we need to pay attention to? I've been naming the names now on this list. Who have I left out, possibly purposely? I have my thoughts and concerns about a guy like Ryan Clifford, the possible future long-term first baseman for the Mets. He could be an absolute masher. Could he hit 30 to 40 home runs? I believe that's realistic. What's going to happen with the hit tool and the K rate at the major league level? If he's already hitting 230, 240 in the minors, how does that translate to major leagues when and if you get there? That's my concern, is that's the thing that's holding me back from calling him a core player going forward. So those are some of my thoughts. Let you guys know, or let me know in the comments other players that I left out. Again, sometimes I do this on the fly. I want to give some of the biggest names I can think of. If you guys have other ideas of who you believe should be and could be in the Mets core going forward, and part of the reason why the Mets aren't signing more guys to 5-6 year deals, it's because of X, Y, and Z. I want you to name that player. I'll check up on the comments. I'll write you back. I'll try to give my extra thoughts, see if I have any intel on those players as well. But again, thank you guys so much for continuing to support me, supporting the channel. I hope to continue more and more good things. I'll see you guys next time.